I mean, look at this. He's just like Oprah. You get a death sentence. And you get a death sentence. Everybody gets a death sentence. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be taking a look at your First Order and the Dark Side territory battles. And for this, I'm going to be using a couple of different teams here. You'll see that my main three characters are going to be Kylo Ren Unmasked lead with a Zeta on his leadership, Kylo Ren, the regular Kylo Ren, and then First Order Officer. The other two spots are going to be filled in with either a combination of a First Order Stormtrooper with a Zeta on his unique, First Order Executioner, First Order TIE Pilot, or Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot. So you're going to see a couple of different team compositions in action for this territory battle, and I've basically used all these different combinations to get all these different videos so you guys can see just what you're looking at and seeing just how viable a First Order team is in your Dark Side territory battles. Next to Imperial Troopers, I'd say it's probably the most viable Dark Side team out there. You'll see at the very end, I've got this team going full auto in Phase 6 and clearing without anybody dying. So you're going to see just how incredibly good this First Order team can be in your Dark Side territory battles. And so with that, you guys are probably going to be wondering, what about Captain Phasma? You know, a lot of people like to use Captain Phasma. They probably still have her upgraded from back when she was your Zeta leadership to have for First Order. And unfortunately, I gotta say, I did not really come away impressed with Phasma in this First Order lineup. She just doesn't have what it takes to really belong there. She's got the Victory March and she's got the Fusilier that does the AoE speed down on the opposing team, but at the end of the day, it's just not enough to really make her a viable character for this team. So you're not going to really see here. I recommend that you work on other characters. You know, First Order Executioner is still pay to play right now, but he is by far the best character to have for your First Order teams and territory battles, and he's the one I use in the Phase 6 full auto. So keep in mind that once you finally get First Order Executioner unlocked and able to use him in your free-to-play teams, you're going to be able to really mow down through these Dark Side territory battles. So while we're going through this, let me just talk a little bit about what makes your First Order team so good and why they're just so viable in your Dark Side territory battles. With territory battles, we've always known that a leadership ability that provides protection regeneration, or even uniques, anything like that that can provide protection regeneration for your team, that is a must-have ability. And this is something that you get with the Kylo Ren Unmasked lead, where whenever an ally gains a buff, they regenerate 5% health and protection. So you'll see during these fights, as they get damaged, they'll gain these buffs, and there's a lot of buffs to go around with a First Order team. Kylo Ren Unmasked, whenever he's hit, he will give a First Order ally advantage. First Order Stormtrooper gives defense up to the entire team. First Order Officer gives tenacity and offense up and advantage to a First Order ally as well. So there's a lot of buffs spraying around with this team. Your regular Kylo Ren gains counter whenever he uses his AoE ability, Lash Out. So there's a ton of buffs with all these characters. So that is something nice to have. But also, on top of that, Kylo Ren Unmasked gives First Order allies 30% bonus speed. So with my characters, they're modded to about 200 speed each. But with that leadership kicking in, they're going to have upwards of 230. My officer at some points will hit 260 or 270 speed under the right mods. So you have the bonus speed there as well to really speed up your team, make them fast, but then also on top of that, whenever a First Order ally scores a critical hit, they gain 20% turn meter. With that advantage flying around everywhere, you have First Order Officer, First Order Stormtrooper, and Kylo Ren Unmasked all gaining advantage. Same with First Order TIE Pilot and First Order Executioner. Advantage is the lifeblood of your First Order teams, and you'll see as you go through these fights, they just have advantage, and it just keeps going and going. So you're just going to get advantage all the time. You're going to score critical hits. You're going to gain that 20% turn meter boost. And if you use it with a character who has AoE abilities like Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot, if he hits several enemies and it scores critical hits, that's a large turn meter boost just for him. And this is something nice with him. He gives speed up to your team. He also gives defense down on his basic attack, and he calls assist in with his special, and the special will cause a stun with that assist if it is a First Order ally called in. So you saw there, you know, he just hit everybody with his AoE, and he basically gained 100% turn meter right away. So In terms of AoE, he is really your best AoE character. Kylo Ren Mask does have an AoE ability in Lash Out, but it is disabled from critically hitting because there were some exploit issues with that. And then Captain Phasma also has her AoE ability, but if you're going to use her, I really recommend you don't. But if you are going to use her, you will be able to use that. Use her Victory March, give herself advantage, and then use her AoE ability right after that. She'll go again. So those are some AoE abilities, and you know, just lots of critical hits, lots of turn meter boosts, and all this healing and protection regeneration through all these buffs. So that's why First Order is so viable for your dark side territory battles. And then in terms of your other characters that you can use in this team, for me, really, I think that First Order Stormtrooper with the Zeta on his unique and First Order Executioner are the two best spots to use in those other two slots for your team, because First Order Executioner just does so much damage. You'll see as we get to his fights, he deals massive damage on his special ability, and he goes fast, and then every time he scores a critical hit, he gives 10% turn meter to all First Order allies. And then of course with Zeta First Order Stormtrooper, anytime he does any action, which is counter, taunt, use his basic attack, anything that he does, he has a 50% chance to call in an assist. And then if it's a First Order ally that's assisting, they also gain advantage, so there's more advantage there. And then if he has advantage on top of that, he will dispel all buffs from the target enemy and then apply speed down on top of it. So First Order Stormtrooper with his Zeta is easily one of your best First Order characters to use for Darkside Territory battles, with Executioner being the other good one. For cleanses for your team, the only cleanse that you really have is First Order Officer, and it's a single target cleanse. You only do it to one character, gives them tenacity up, offense up, and advantage. It also gives him the same buffs. So you're not really going to get a team-wide cleanse yet. Maybe one day if we get General Hux, maybe we can get a team-wide cleanse. I don't know, I would really love for us to get a team-wide cleanse, but for now, your only cleanse ability is really with your First Order Officer. And then in terms of Dispel, we already went over First Order Stormtrooper. If he has advantage, his basic attack will Dispel. You have another Dispel in Kylo Ren Unmasked. His Halt ability will remove all buffs from the target and then stun them, and then this cannot be evaded or resisted, so keep that in mind. And then you also have the Death Sentence with First Order Executioner, which removes all buffs, 40% turn meter, and then also gives your First Order Executioner 40% turn meter if he does not kill a target, and 80% if he does kill the target. And of course, if you have advantage and offense up, you will be able to do a lot of damage with that ability, and if you kill that target, he is going to give himself 100% turn meter, plus another 10% with his unique, where he gives all allies 10% turn meter whenever he scores a critical hit. Your First Order Executioner is a really great damage dealer and also a great utility character, because there's so much turn meter that's going to be going on, and that's one of the strengths of your First Order, is that they're basically a turn meter manipulation squad. Those are what makes them so viable, and like I said with the characters before, and which ones I think are best, of course, First Order Executioner and Zeta First Order Stormtrooper are your best. However, this doesn't mean that First Order TIE Pilot and Special Forces TIE Pilot are bad characters. They're not as good, but they have great utility as well. You have the buff immunity and the double tap with First Order TIE Pilot. He can also gain Foresight whenever you have his Zeta unique, and he can also get bonuses and crit chance and crit damage. He can hit very hard, so he's still a great damage dealer for your team. So still use him. If you don't have First Order Executioner, you're going to be just fine using First Order TIE Pilot until then. For Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot, he's not as strong as your Zeta First Order Stormtrooper, but he still does the exact same thing. Like I said, he gives a speed up, he calls the assist. So if you don't have the Zeta to invest in First Order Stormtrooper, use Special Forces TIE Fighter Pilot in his place. Both those characters are still very good characters. They're not bad by any means. It's just that Executioner and First Order Stormtrooper are that much better. You can pretty much throw this team onto full auto. I've got some battles me doing manual. At the very end, there's going to be me doing full auto in phase 6 of the Darkside Territory battle, and no, it's not me clicking on certain characters for them to hit. This was them legit going full auto, hitting everybody on their own. So sit back and enjoy that at the end of the video. But in terms of other things for this team, for Kylo Ren Unmasked and First Order Stormtrooper, I give them speed mods and also some health. Making sure they get protection primaries on the mods as well is helpful here, because they're going to be taking a lot of damage from these characters. You'll see the rebels counter pretty much everything, and it's really unfair, but it is what it is. You need to make sure that you bump up their protection with the primaries on the mods. And then for First Order Officer, he is the engine for your First Order team. Without him, they're not really able to operate, so having him go fast, getting a lot of speed mods on him is something you really need to focus on, making sure he's the fastest out of all your first order characters is absolutely paramount. You have to have him going fast. There's no way around this. And then for first order TIE pilot and special forces TIE fighter pilot, same with Kylo Ren Mast and with first order executioner. Crit chance and crit damage are some good basic sets for them. For First Order Executioner, I actually give him a health set instead of crit chance because he's pretty much always guaranteed to crit anyways, and he gains bonus offense based off his max health as it is. So getting him some bonus health is really helpful there. You can get some health on his cross and on his circle mod. That's really going to help him do more damage. And for Kylo Ren Unmasked, you really don't have to worry about the crit chance too much because you're always going to be using his lash out ability anyways, and it's not able to critically hit. But boosting up that crit damage with the mod set, that's going to give bonus damage to it anyways. So making sure he gets some nice speed secondary so he can go as fast as possible, using that lash out as much as he can. That's also another thing here because it's really going to help boost the turn meter for your squad. So making sure you get him fast and boosting up his crit damage is another thing that's paramount for Kylo Ren Masked. There's really not much else to cover. I mean, we've gone over the specifics with what makes their leadership so good with Kylo Ren Unmasked and the turn meter manipulation and protection regeneration. So we've pretty much gone over everything for your first order teams and territory battles. This is pretty much one of your best teams, like I said before. Use them, upgrade them. We've got another month until the next Darkside territory battle begins. So go ahead and start working on our first order now if you haven't already. This is definitely a team that's going to make your combat missions way easier and really help you get your guild score up for these territory battles, get you some more sweet loot. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask down below in the comment section. I'll do what I can to answer them. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this video. There's another fight after this one with the full auto. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And to all of my McMinions out there, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.